Well, I'm here going to talk about American domestic politics, and this one's about the four signs of why and how Trump is done. I'm going to show you guys a clip here in a second. Let me get it started here. Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So I have 4 clear signs to share with you guys that the tide has turned against Donald Trump. These are very specific, key pieces of evidence that prove this. And the reason these things matter is this. We need Republicans to stand up to Trump and back impeachment and removal. Because it takes 60 votes in the Senate to remove a president after they've been impeached by the majority in the House. So, like it or not, we need at least some of them to grow a pair and do the right thing to save the country. And the only thing that these cucks and cowards care about is protecting their positions of power. They want to continue to line their pockets, right? They want the donor money to continue flowing. They want to keep insider trading. So they're going to go along with Trump as long as he doesn't threaten that. But if they see that the masses are turning on Trump, then it endangers their job. It endangers their, gravy train. That is when they will dump him. So, that's why I share the polling with you guys. That's why I share so much of this stuff, because it helps to get the word out there. And that way Republicans will hopefully see some of this, realize what's going on, and go, yeah, God, I can't keep tying myself to this guy. So what I'm about to share with you guys matters for that reason, if nothing else. So first, take a look at polling on a very crucial voting bloc that Donald Trump won in all 3 elections. So check this out.
Trump's base with non-college voters is absolutely collapsing. Back in 2024, he won those voters over Kamala Harris by 14 points. You come over to this side of the screen, what's his net approval rating with him? He is underwater by 9 points. How is that impacting their views on how they're going to vote for Congress? In the 2024 election, Republicans won those voters, those non-college voters, by 13 points. Now, they're just ahead by just 1, 2, 3, 4 points. When you can count it on one hand, you know that you're in trouble. A 4-point lead among non-college voters is not anywhere close to being good enough, because Democrats are dominating among voters with a college degree, up by 20 points.
So yeah, as you heard there, this is highly consequential because Democrats have a lock on the college-educated voters, and those numbers are rising. That's something that Harry Anton also said in that clip, which I didn't share with you guys, but he said the support for Democrats among college-educated voters is going up, whereas Donald Trump's support with non-college-educated voters is dropping. So worst case scenario for him. So that is number 1. He is now losing the most hardcore of his base. So basically every voting bloc is moving away from him. He's been bleeding independents, young voters, minorities, and men across the spectrum, and now he's losing the non-college educated vote. And then here's another sign of the tide turning against him. So people who work in law enforcement, as you guys know, have been stalwart Trump supporters, with very few exceptions. They are now starting to call him out in his administration. So, for example, there was an opinion piece for the Orange County Register, and it was written by a former Border Patrol attorney who worked for the agency for like 16, 18 years. And he said, quote, "Nearly every step the agents took against Mr. Preddy violated the law." And then he also said, "What happened in Minneapolis was illegal." So here's the article here, you can see. I have more details about what he said in that article, but I'm going to share them in another video if you want all the specifics and the case law, which 100% proves the agents violated the law. But again, we have not seen this before. And this is just one example of law enforcement admitting that this Trump regime is out of control. The same news outlet, the Orange County Register, interviewed a former ICE spokesperson. This is a guy named Richard Beam. He admitted that the Trump administration is lying to the public. So here's his article. So Beam said that for the first time in his 20-year career, he was instructed to respond to inquiries with spin instead of facts. And he said that he was instructed to omit anything that didn't fit the political narrative. So, I mean, we know this is going on, but to hear it from an insider, to hear it from someone who works for one of these agencies is very different. And Beam told the Register, quote, "We were providing responses that spoke to the criminal history, but it didn't always distinguish the difference between being charged and being convicted of." Isn't that interesting? Since, you know, Trump supporters like to say, oh, he was indicted. Yeah, he was charged, but he was never convicted because his cases never went to trial. And then he also went on to say, quote, "And at some point, we would also see language in the responses that was political, specifically saying, thanks to Trump, the Trump administration, we're doing X. Because of the Biden administration, we have this consequence." And that's not what career public affairs officers traditionally do. None of us have ever had these crazy experiences where the political appointees were so involved in what we did. So Trump supporters can say all day long, oh, well, it's always been this way. You have someone inside saying, no, we have never done this way before. It has never been political. Well, that guy, after issuing complaints and being threatened with a transfer, he decided, I'm out. He left the agency at the end of last year. So in addition to Beam and Duncan, the National Police Association has now come out and slammed a Fox News host for refusing to hold Donald Trump's DOJ accountable. Fox host Charles Gasparino, who is sometimes critical of the Trump administration, but he posted on Twitter that the Epstein files turned out to be a, quote, huge zero. Well, the police association quote tweeted him, and they asked him this. They said, "Why do you ignore the DOJ's redactions in violation of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, shielding perpetrators from accountability, as well as the withholding of more than 3 million documents, omissions that render any claim of non-usefulness useless?" So not only are they calling out this Fox host, but they're also calling out Trump's DOJ and saying, well, yeah, like when you are omitting things, when you are hiding things, you can't say, oh, well, yeah, what we're seeing is all useless. I mean, they're right. Like, okay, show us the useful things. Stop hiding them. Stop redacting them. So these kinds of statements never would have happened in the past. But people are starting to realize, the water's warm, it's safe to come in, like it's safe to criticize Trump and his regime now. And then we have more proof that the sentiment has shifted. So take a look at this video. This is from a recent wrestling event. And what you're going to hear is everyone starts chanting, "Fuck ICE."
Now the face in the eyes of the champion.
His face. He went from like, yeah, I'm doing this. Let's do this. I'm ready. I'm taking on this other guy. I'm going to take you down. And he's like, what is going on? Like he couldn't even believe that they were chanting this at a wrestling event, right? Because these should be Trump's people. You are not going to typically see a bunch of lefty, progressive, woke commies at a wrestling event. So the fact that wrestling fans are saying fuck ICE, that is a huge monumental shift. And then if you need even more proof, check this out. So several states are now pulling permits and shutting down plans for building ICE facilities, ICE detention facilities. And I'm not talking about just the lib states and the lib cities. I'm talking about Oklahoma, y'all. So look at this. Even in ruby red conservative Oklahoma, they know that this administration is blowing it. They killed the deal, as it says here. They're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. So, like I said, it's not good for Trump, not good for the Republican Party. And they know it. This is why they're trying to rig the midterms as we speak. This is why they're playing all these games, stealing ballots, playing all these games with trying to gerrymander and everything else. They know they're screwed. So anyway, guys, when I hear more, because I guarantee there will be more, I will let you know. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.
So, obviously, those 4 signs are pretty telling, aren't they? The dam is cracking for Donald Trump and his coalition. Because, again, regular people don't like this crap. Regular people are looking for solutions in their government. Now, they may have been mad about things we didn't all agree with, or we thought people misperceived certain situations. But ultimately, people don't like this divisive hatefulness, this corruption. Give me a sec. So yeah, ultimately, people don't like this hateful, divisive politics, this rampant corruption. I mean, when you're seeing people at a wrestling event chanting F ICE, those are not exactly tree-hugging communist liberals, okay? That's a demographic of regular, everyday people in America, okay? So, obviously the dam is cracking, and now you're even seeing Republicans and conservative-leaning organizations calling out Trump. You're seeing the police association calling out Trump. Because, like I said, his overreach was going to go too far. And I already predicted this was going to happen if he got elected again. And once he got, I knew it. I had that pit in my stomach, and I knew it was coming. But I knew what was going to happen too is that coalition was going to fracture after he got elected, and it was going to happen the first year. It wasn't going to happen the first 6 months, but it was going to happen the first year into his term. So I knew by 2026 people were going to sour on him. That's starting to happen. Okay. Now, to be fair, when he did get reelected this last time, his approval rating was better than it was his first term around. But I knew that wasn't going to last. I said, well, give him 1 year into office and see how long that approval rating holds up. I guarantee you it'll turn out to be worse than his first term. And it's right now way worse than his first term. Because even though he was unpopular his first term, and he always was unpopular the whole time, and it only got worse the longer he was in there. But it wasn't going to happen as quickly as it did this time, even though his approval rating was better. Because when the Democrats won back Congress in 2018, I mean, when they had that 40-seat pickup in the House, which I want to remind people, Democrats were down way more seats back then than they are right now. Democrats have more seats than they had in 2016, 2017, 2018. Okay? It don't take much for them to win. All right? Trump's approval rating was only down 8 to 10 points in 2018 on Election Day when Democrats took back all those seats in Congress. Okay? 8 to 10 points. You know what his approval rating's down right now? An average of almost 20 to 24 points. He has a 61% disapproval rating. You're seeing the coalition crack right now. You're seeing the police association come against him. You're seeing former ICE workers come out against him. People of the ICE association. All these people in law enforcement are coming out saying they're being told to lie to the public. They're calling him out for trying to cover up these Epstein files. Him and Pam Bondi. Like, who do they really think's in their corner anymore? People are waking up to this BS. So his approval rating is down way more than it was in 2018. So you're seeing Democrats blow out all these special elections by an average of 15 to 30 points. Okay. Why do you think the GOP is trying to find ways to rig the elections coming up in 2026? Why do you think they're trying to pass this national voter law to take states' rights away from voting? Because they want to run it from the federal level. Why do you think they're sending Tulsi Gabbard and all these other people out to go through ballots to audit the 2020 election? They're trying to find an excuse and then send ICE agents to the streets to arrest, kidnap, and murder protesters. This is all a facade to try to stop the elections and distract from the Epstein files. This is so he can call a national emergency. They can nationalize the elections, and then they can try to stop them from happening. If not, try to rig them. And I guarantee you they're going to try to use ICE to intimidate people to go to the polls and vote. And make it harder for people to vote by mail. This is all being done by design. All of this. Because they know they're losing. Okay. I don't know what they think they're holding together at this point, but it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You guys failed the American public. You rapidly made our government even more corrupt than it already was. You're stealing our money to enrich billionaires. Okay. You're taking corporate money from dark forces that are the antithesis of humanity and democracy. Alright? People are done. They are done with this crap. Alright? You guys had your run. You guys done your share of destroying this government. American people are done. And effectively, they are done with Donald Trump, most of all, let alone the GOP. Your party, the Republican Party's got to get its act together. All right, if they want to survive as a political party, because I've said this many times, I can't overstate it enough. You build your party on a cult, it's going to fail. You build your party on a flawed individual, it is going to fail. Okay. And of all people, Donald Trump, you guys. If you want to save what's left of your reputation, you better jump off that van. Jump off that ship right now. Head for the exits right now. You might as well just resign right now and come back when all this is over, because it's not looking good. But by all means, stay in office and run for re-election. See how well it works out. Good luck. Because I think that whole map's going to go blue. I think Texas is going to flip. I think Alaska's going to flip. I know Maine and North Carolina are going to flip. That's already obvious. So, the House, I want to remind people that Democrats don't have to pick up 40 seats to get the House this time. All they got to pick up is 3 to 5 seats, and they got the majority. Well, the way it's looking right now, they're going to pick up another 30 to 40 seats that they don't even have to win. Okay. And when you're seeing 30-point swings, watch out. I guarantee you that's going to hold going all into this year. So, now I'm not saying that every seat will swing by 30 points. Turnout will be higher, and there will be people that still will come out and vote for the GOP. Don't get me wrong. It won't be just Democrats turning out. But independence is what's going to swing the election. All right. Independents are they're walking away like droves right now with the Trump and the GOP. All right. This is a reality. So that's all I want to say in this video. I'll probably come back and do another one in a second here. But see y'all. Love y'all. Have a great night. Goodbye.